Today I'm joined by Gavin from CloudSpot, and we're going to be talking a little bit about not only CloudSpot and what awesome features they have for gallery hosting, but also their new studio features that are excellent for sending contracts and invoicing. Right, Gavin? That you guys do invoicing as well. So
We
we're
do.
gonna get into all of that. Gavin, just tell us a little bit about what your background is in the industry and kind of how CloudSpot came to be, and a little bit about CloudSpot.
Yeah, absolutely. And good to see you, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me here and good to see everybody else. My story probably sounds a lot like other people's stories. So, got into being a wedding photographer because I wanted to kind of flex my creative muscles there. And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, we were both kind of like this, yeah, I like my job, but I don't love it type of phase. And we were still young enough to make some stupid mistakes if we needed to or wanted to. And so we just dove headfirst into the photography thing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, probably for 12, 13 years, we photographed weddings and portraits exclusively. So probably around 500 weddings,
Yeah.
something like that. And about 8 years ago, so this was during our busiest wedding season ever. I think we had 52 weddings and 52 engagement sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, just I mean, like what clients this week, like how many double headers this month, like type of thing, which are happy problems, and we're really grateful for it.
Or
But it's when that workflow, and it's just the two of us, like that workflow just started crushing us.
mhm.
And it was, I always joke like that's when cracks turn into craters, right? Like when things start going well, like the bottlenecks never go away. They just like shift to a different spot, right? Which I'm sure we can all relate to in any type of business. And so I was like, I was not happy with the fact that things were bottlenecking on me. My wife was editing and designing things faster than I could actually deliver it out in an experience that, was something that we were proud of and that, like, to me felt like a highlight of an experience for our clients rather than like an afterthought. And
Right.
I was compromising like actively. I'm like, well, here's your Dropbox link, or here's just a few just janky links. Like, just go download it. Like, have a nice life type of deal. And I just wasn't happy about it. And so it just kind of came to that similar inflection point where I was like, well, something out there doesn't really exist to work the way that I would love it to, or to highlight our business, and have more of a hidden third party involvement rather than something that was super visible. And just started jotting down like if I could build something for our business that would satisfy all of our needs for delivering images to our clients, but also helping us market our work to vendors in a more expeditious way. What would that look like? Like, what's the fewest amount of button clicks that I would want to have in order to do these certain actions? And
Right.
so that's really where CloudSpot started. And so, the hope was that it could help us, and then it quickly turned into, well, it sounds like it can help a few other people. And so,
Yeah.
so here we are.
So there are a million gallery sites out there. Like, what does CloudSpot do differently than some of the others that people are probably familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, as I always say, like the good news is there are a lot of great options for photographers to choose from when it comes to, specifically gallery or image delivery or online, print and product sales. It really comes down to like what fits your business brain, your business workflow best. And so for me, the biggest thing that I still don't feel anyone else really has down pat that really CloudSpot is known for is the ability to deliver images and a gallery to your client really within the very first email that you send out.
Mhm.
You know, those of you who are listening, or who might be using other providers, like how many hoops clients have to jump through just to download the photos. And that's exactly what they go for. Like the moment that you send it to them, they're going to try and go and grab those. And you want them to do that. And you want them to share it all over the place to help your business grow.
Right.
And so when I sat down and counted like how many steps it took for someone to do that on another platform that we were using at the time, it was like 13 or 15 different steps. And so I was like, no wonder folks aren't downloading or asking me how to do it. Like, if I only just could put like one button in there in that email that let them go view their gallery to share an order, and then another button for them to get exactly the images that I want them to have at the size I want them to have it for as many times as I want to let them download it. Like, I wish I could have that control and still like a one and done experience. And so uh, that's what we got. And so that's where CloudSpot really set itself apart in the early days. It's just that ease of use, and we lovingly call it grandma-proof image delivery.
Yeah.
And then it grew from there in terms of what we're known for, in terms of a beautiful print store, augmented reality print and product previews to help clients buy larger wall art with confidence, with their phone just aimed at their own wall and see the product right there.
Right. Yeah.
And then what we'll chat about later is that evolution and that expansion of helping photographers in other areas solve different problems along the business side of things, which none of us really get into it for, yet it quickly like smacks us upside the head of all the things that we got to do just to keep, the wheels turning.
Yeah. It's amazing just like developing Shoot With Me and the original vision we had for what we wanted it to do, and then over time as you're dealing with like different issues, and it like leads to something new that you want to implement. I imagine it's the same with you, where you're like, okay, you had this vision of what you wanted to build from the start, and over time you're just like stacking on top of it, and you're trying to like make it better constantly. I remember an early conversation I had with my developers. I was just like, yeah, if you can build me what I have in my mind, we're good. Like, we don't need to do anything else. And I look back and how like, I don't know, how naive and borderline arrogant that was, that like I thought at the time that I had it figured out. And it's like, no, like you need to get feedback from users, and you need to see what happens when a lot of people are using, this one thing. Does it mess something up? Does it lead to another set of problems that you have to solve for? And now we're trying to solve like problems before they turn into problems. We're like, okay, if we do this, what is the downwind effect of this? Like, what could happen? And we're not like we're not trying to solve things that are just imaginary problems, but we can hypothesize pretty accurately like what's going to happen if everybody does this thing, or if nobody does
Right.
this thing, what's going to happen. So it's a little bit different because ours is a two-way marketplace, whereas CloudSpot, you can just apply it to your studio and implement it. You're not relying on other people, other photographers to have success. But I imagine it's similar with you know figuring out what breaks, what works, what doesn't work, and upgrading from there, or updating things. So,
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, not only in a gallery scenario, but kind of similar, just you're not just building it for your customer, you're building it for your customer's customer. So you're trying to anticipate like 2 degrees of separation for just like,
right.
hey, what are they going to run into? And ultimately, if you can make their experience the best it could possibly be, that translates into making the photographer look like a rock star, which then in turn endears them to your service, which then helps them share about it. And so, yeah, there are cascading effects, both positive and negative, for either presuming or assuming like this
Yeah.
is just the only way that it can be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
Yep.
so once CloudSpot was launched and everything's going well, what led to the idea of launching the studio and just like having those additional tools for photographers? Did it come from a pain point of other CRMs maybe not handling things a certain way, or is it wanting more to like have it be a holistic, like you just do everything within CloudSpot?
I think it was the latter that influenced the former. And what I mean by that is like we always send out surveys at the end of the year and asking our photographers, like, hey, what would be the next thing you would want us to work on that would just absolutely like make your day, make your year? Like,
Hmm.
what should we be focusing on next? Because again, to your point, like we think we know the things, right?
Right.
In the early days, like, oh, it should just be this, right? But you quickly realize the work is just beginning, and it's that feedback loop that is
Hmm.
so crucial. And then it's taking that and iterating and listening to our photographers, which
Hmm.
we always promise to listen. It's one of the things we're known for. And then assimilating that and figuring out, okay, well, then how do we get there? And so it was through that feedback loop and through our yearly surveys for not just 1 year, not just 2 years, like, but multiple years, people were saying, I need help on the business side. Like I use a CRM right now, or I don't use a CRM, but ultimately the feedback we got was I don't like paying for multiple services first and foremost, especially for newer photographers, right? If you're having to pay $30 for this and $40 a month for this, that quickly adds up, especially if you haven't gotten the business rolling yet. And in a lot of cases, it's overkill. It's either a system that wasn't built specifically for photographers, so you're kind of like doing the square peg round hole thing,
Hmm.
or it's taking weeks to set up, so you just got this intimidation, like mental bandwidth pressure of just trying to figure it out, and you're having to do that across every area of the business. So a lot of times it's just analysis paralysis, right? And so you're just like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to stick to post-it notes or Excel spreadsheets, and I'm just going to send PayPal invoices or whatever it might be. And so this feedback just kept coming year after year after year, and I I repelled it for a while. I was like, you know what? If we're going to do this, like this is a big deal. Like this is expanding the scope of how we help photographers, and we can't just, dabble in it. If we're going to do it, we need to do it for a purpose, and we need to do it for a specific group of photographers that help them now. And so that's what got us on that path, was just people asking for it for so many years. And then we started evaluating. I'm like, okay, if we're going to do this, perhaps just as important of what we are going to do on this, what are we consciously not going to do if we're going to do this? And so two things popped out right away. We're not going to make this an extra burden and cost on photographers, because that's not who we're building it for. We're not building it for the photographer who is 10 years in and has the time to spend weeks to set something up in CRM and automate every single microsecond.
Right.
This is photographers who are getting rolling, who are trying to figure out the business side, who want to streamline things, who want to have one place to do it all. So I'm like, we're not going to charge more for it, first and foremost. Okay. Second thing, we want photographers not only to save money, but we want them to keep more of the money that they're earning, especially in those early days. Every penny counts, but it always counts. So we wanted to keep the fees as low as we possibly could on the things that inevitably we couldn't control, like the payment processing side of things. So like, how do we mitigate those fees to help them save money and keep more of the money they have? And so that took a lot of time and testing. But those are our unique approaches on how we launched the studio. So the moment that it came out, even our free users who are just trying things could access Studio end to end with real clients without any negative repercussions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know when I was starting my business, I was probably a couple of years in, and I was this is, I don't know, 15 years ago at the time. Maybe 12 years ago is when I had this situation. But I'm booking weddings and I'm managing everybody in a spreadsheet. So I'll put the client's info in, and I'll put the status of their wedding. Is this a lead? Is this a booked client? Whatever. I'll put their wedding date in. I'll put what their package was. And I was taking a PDF contract and emailing it to them, and then they would print it out and sign it and send it back. Well, at one point, I got an inquiry for whatever date, and between when I got the inquiry and when they booked, they had to change their date for whatever reason. And when I booked them, I was like, cool, we're good, whatever. And I got off the call. I looked back on their inquiry, wrote the date down in the contract, whatever, sent it to them. They signed it, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Well, they changed their date. I wrote down the old date on their contract. And of course, I booked that same date with another couple because I wasn't using a system, a fail-safe system in place to prevent that from happening. So 2 weeks before the wedding, I get a call from the bride, and I had recently gone full-time doing this. I had quit my day job. And I get a call from the bride. She's like, hey, I was wondering if we're jumping on a call to talk about the wedding and whatever. And I'm like thinking to myself, your wedding's in like 2 months. What are you talking about? And I'm kind of just like playing it out on the phone. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, she's getting married in like, 2 weeks or whatever. And I'm like, I'm shooting this other wedding in 2 weeks. So I had to scramble and find somebody to cover the job and, talk to the couple about what happened and like take responsibility for it. It sucked. But you know why I didn't have a better system in place? I was intimidated by the complexity of setting up a big CRM and like losing that control. Like in my desire to like maintain control and feel like I wasn't, letting all these loose ends go, I was creating problems for myself. So it's awesome that you're targeting newer photographers and you're not overwhelming them with decisions. You're not overwhelming them with features they have to figure out. And if they don't do it right, it breaks and the whole thing falls apart. It seems, from what I've seen, it seems very easy to apply. Probably you can get it set up in a couple hours or less, right?
Minutes. I kid you not.
Yeah.
Like under 15 minutes.
Could we get a demo? Like, do you have a way to show us some of the features and,
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share my screen here. I got like a little demo account set up. Let me know if you can see this here.
I can see. I'm going to make us disappear. I'm going to make you disappear first. And then put this here. I'm going to make you disappear as well. Awesome. Can you see?
Okay.
You can see your screen. You can see my screen. We're good, I think.
Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. I'm toggling over this tab. So yeah, and you're absolutely right. We built this to make that kind of initial onboarding as stress free as possible,
Hmm.
and we'll continue to add to it, as we grow and expand. But I'm super proud of the team because we launched with likely more features than most of the other CRMs we're aware of, like launched with initially. So
Right.
we're diving in head first. But this is on the studio side of things. So this is like your little dashboard on managing the business side. So, just right out of the gate, you can do just quick things, right? You can create a project, a contract, an invoice, or a questionnaire. You let people create templates related to those. So whether it's the document template, like, oh, here's this contract that I'm going to use for all my weddings, and then the email, like if you go to send the contract, you can save both of those types of templates. Same with invoices, same with questionnaires, or, and I'll show you in a second, like projects, which is really like the time saving aspect here for
Hmm.
for managing and juggling a lot of clients. When you send a project out, this is where you can kind of keep all of those templates. So again, just really nice, clean, straightforward. But if you go into here, load it up. And these are all the projects. So like Joe and Mary's wedding, right? And I added a very light project here. So if you go in, you basically add clients, so you can manage your clients right over here. You add clients to this particular project. And then what you can do is you can add various documents. So it's essentially like the umbrella under which all these other little moving pieces for any particular type of shoot
Right.
would fall under. So you can add your contract there, right? You add your template, you have smart fields in there, which adds the client's information, the date, all that type of stuff. So you do the work once and then you can rinse and repeat. Same with invoices and questionnaires. Oh, I have package 1, 2, 3. Like you can attach an invoice relative to that particular package that they're going for. Same with questionnaires, like you said, like pre-wedding questionnaire, whatever it might be. All of that you can create, save as templates, and then add, and those smart fields customize things to this particular event or these clients.
Hmm.
And then here you just have a really nice, easy to see activity history. So anything that's done by any of the clients associated with this project is visible to you, whether they opened up an email but didn't sign or when they signed it, etc. All right there. And you just got a nice, easy spot to create some, your eyes only project notes
Hmm.
for keeping that in mind. And then you can still send, one-off contracts, create those and see those here, one-off invoices, see everything, that's been paid or outstanding, and the status of those at a glance. And same thing with questionnaires as well. So you can have all these moving individual pieces for one-off situations, or you can create projects where it has multiple document types in there for easier organization.
Yeah.
And
So
then when
do
you
you have
go,
some
go ahead.
templates for questionnaires and templates for contracts?
We do, and some of our ambassadors have them as well and make them available, so they can be preloaded. But yes, we have some things in there to get people
Yeah.
started, and even like payment reminder emails, just things that require a little bit of automation that we
Right.
do for you, just to help make sure you get paid. Those are already in there and good to go, like you can see here. So real easy to do, and if you need to create a new one, it's a nice, easy builder of sorts to
Yeah.
inject those things. So. But let's say you have Joe and Mary's wedding here. Let me go to a more fully featured project. So you can see here, this is one that's got a couple of clients. That's at semi, full payment. You can see like, oh, the contract's missing both signatures. There's two questionnaires, but one's incomplete. And so again, it's just a really quick way to take in a lot of information and get quick identifiers as to what still needs your action or your client's action,
Hmm.
all straight through here in the projects. But let's say this is blank, and let's say you need all of the signatures and the payments, etc. You just go ahead and click Send Project. And so when you do that, again, you can save templates for when you send projects, but this essentially sends it to your clients for that project. And when they click View Project, it takes them through the process of signing a contract. Then it takes them immediately to go and pay the invoice and to do those next steps,
Hmm.
just to kind of complete that booking. So let me see if I can stop sharing my screen super fast, and I'll share another tab to show what the client experience is
Yeah.
like. Let me go through here. So it's something like this. So when they go to see this, let's see if I can go back. I should be able to show. Yeah. So this is the client portal side of things. So photographers can completely customize this whole experience, whether it be logos, background colors, header images, fonts, button colors, etc. But here's just a really easy example of like when your clients go to do these things, we call out in the portal, hey, you got to sign this contract. And then it walks them through, hey, you got to pay this invoice. Hey, you got to do this questionnaire. And this is essentially like their one-stop single source of truth for all things related to their booking with you. So this is the client facing aspect when you go and send and share projects out.
Yeah. So, what is in the pipeline that you guys are working on? I can pull us back up here.
Sure, sure. So something that's in beta testing right now that we'll have launched in the next couple of weeks is our mini session scheduler. So that's already being used by hundreds of photographers right now. And so, tis the season, right, for mini sessions. So,
Mm-hmm.
or some would say it's maybe a little on the tail end of the season, but if you want to be able to create, 1 or 2 days of mini session time slots and be able to, get either retainers or full payments for those sessions, we're adding that into Studio as well. Again, still free. And still with super low fees, like the flat 2.5% payment processing fee is all that we assess on anything that comes in. So, that's a full 0.5% to sometimes even more compared to the other CRMs out there
Right.
if you were just to hook up your own.
Mm-hmm.
So again, tons of savings stacking up, but the mini session scheduler is soon to come. So we're excited for that.
Nice. I don't know what this black blob is next to us. I can't make it disappear, but that's life.
Oh, there's a blob.
I don't know if you see it on your side. There's like this black chunk. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's awesome. So again, you mentioned that it takes minutes to set up. Like, what kind of things do people need in order to get their account set up? A logo, obviously, like a name for their company.
Yep, anything related to the customization side. So, it's basically just walk you through in the settings of that studio. You just basically customize that client facing side. That's really where most of the setup takes place, and then creating the templates. So, if you've got those somewhere else and it's easy as copy and paste, then again, you're minutes away from being up and rolling. The only last thing you would need to do is like tell us where you want to get paid. So you just go and connect payments, and we just get some business information about you, prove that you're a real human and not a robot,
Right.
and then you tell us which bank account you want the funds deposited to. Which, no matter what method your clients pay an invoice with, whether it be credit card or ACH, we do a 2-day payout,
Okay.
direct deposit into the bank account. Which for some ACH payments, and other platforms, that's 5, 6, 7 business days sometimes until you get the funds.
Right.
So we do what's called T+2 payout schedule, no matter what. So that's a little perk.
What about inquiries from like your website into the studio? Is that something that's coming?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a very short list of what we knew as soon as we launched Studio that photographers were going to need. Why? Because it's what I would need, right? It's like what you would need.
Yeah.
So yes, contact form integration. So first of all, contact form builder, and then customizer, right? And then an integrator, like a code snippet, copy paste is absolutely on the roadmap. So
Yeah, it makes
before
it
booking
really great
season
for
next
somebody
year.
to set up like if they're just getting started, setting up like a Wix or a Squarespace site, or like some cheap way to do this, and then they have this tool. It's like very low entry, not a lot of risk, not a lot of commitment, where they can start gaining some traction, and before they ever have to worry about paying for anything like of substance, they're making money. So it's like
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
So that
too
form
many
integrator
things
is
that are
huge.
yeah. There's too many things
Yeah.
that's like a 7-day free trial, and it's like, well, if you're not getting value from it within that first week, maybe you're churning or you're moving on because it's like you don't have the money to put into it. So having these resources like that, it's fantastic for new photographers.
Absolutely. Our free plan lets you use the entire platform end to end with at least 3 full clients. So,
Okay.
before you even have to make that decision, and there's no timeline, like you said, because again, even if you had the money, if you don't have the clients, you're still not going to invest until it's the right time and right action.
Right.
So we just kind of wanted to remove that barrier and say, hey, look, as your business has grown, as you're getting a feel for it, we want you to experience all that before you confidently, make a decision that, hey, we're going to be using this to power the business.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal was always that even if you're a newer photographer, that when you're using CloudSpot, the client experience doesn't feel that way. It feels like, look, I've got all my ducks in a row. I've got this entire, essentially all-in-one platform for that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So then I only have to learn that one thing, but then my client also just it elevates my brand in their eyes
Right.
without, again, having to pay a single dollar to do it. I just have to spend a few minutes to set it up. And so
Yeah.
that was where our heart was coming from in building this and launching it when we did. And then we're just going to continue to grow out from there,
Yeah.
helping more and more photographers. So we're
Awesome.
excited.
So jumping back into the actual gallery hosting thing, Pricing, how does that work for that? Is it a per gallery price, monthly?
It's a subscription service, so you essentially choose how much storage that you need. That's still how we charge.
Mhm.
So free plan gives you 3 clients end to end, a max of 10 gigs. Our $15 a month plan, if you go month to month, gives you 100 gigs. So, and we're integrated with JPEG Mini. So
Okay.
again, you get a lot for 100 gigs because essentially that's almost like 200 gigs.
Right.
So it's a great value there. And again, you get all the features of the studio and all the features of the store. So there's no features limited depending on which storage plan you choose. It's just as your business grows, you
Right.
just grow the storage needs. So you can go 100 gigs, you can go 300 gigs, excuse me, 350, and then you can go unlimited for those who are OGs like us and have a bunch of clients that we want to be able to maintain and sell
Yeah.
through. So.
So say a studio is like, I hate whatever I'm with. I want to move all my galleries over. Can they do that?
Absolutely. So our team is amazing. So we have a migration team, and so we can actually, if we support that service, which there are very few that we don't support,
Hmm.
it's usually a technical issue on their side where we can't actually physically download the files with any type of reliability. But yeah, our migration team will move over 75 galleries for free, and it's $1 a gallery after that if you really want to make a huge shift and bring some legacy clients over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the concern for a lot of people is if they're fully camped out one place, they want to know that they can move everything over to the new. That way, if a client from 2016 reaches out and they're like, oh, this thing happened, I need to download my images again. You're not like, oh, I have to have two subscriptions to gallery sites now in order to
Yeah.
maintain it. That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, and what we've seen photographers do is when they make that switch is they'll set up their store, they'll create a discount code, and then they'll essentially email all their clients saying, "Hey, your photos have a new home, and to celebrate, like we're doing 30% off all of the new prints and products that are available through your new store. Like go
Yeah.
check it out, go build an album, go build some holiday cards, or anything like that, and enjoy." So
So do you
it's
have
a good
like a
excuse.
workflow that you showcase to new photographers that are going through that? Like say, hey, try this method out and see what happens if you're migrating everything over.
We
Like
do. We have some things
it's
in our help center.
templatized, I guess, already for new users.
We do, like in our Facebook community group, we always talk about like fun little hacks like that of
Yeah.
just, how do we get, our clients' time and attention our way after that emotional window is closed, after we deliver the photos, how do we still bring them back? And
Yeah.
so in this upcoming year, we're looking forward to diving much deeper into like the automation side of things
Right.
and, like one click, yet still generate more revenue for your business. We're always looking for ways to win on that side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Like it's one of those things where, as a photographer, I still have my company that I operate and everything. And if I can find new creative ways to serve my couples and make money at the same time without doing any work, sign me up.
Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think there's a block for some people that they think, okay, anything that you're charging your client for, it's an inconvenience. Well,
Mm.
no, like that's a fallacy in your brain. Like that, you're creating objections that don't exist. It's not like you're pointing a gun at your client and saying you have to do this. It's like you're giving them options that they're either able to take advantage of or not. But if they take advantage of it, it's because they want to, which
Yeah,
is the point.
100%. That's a service-based business, right? Like, you've got your limiting beliefs that are maybe blocking you from diving headfirst into that. Like for us, it's print and product sales. A lot of people are just like, oh, I don't want my clients to feel like they have to buy anything. I'm lovingly trying to, because I'm seeing all the metrics behind the scenes, right? Like I'm seeing the photographers who are setting up and actually like spending a few minutes to set up their store, like what they're reaping from it.
Hmm.
And I was like, they're gonna print your photos, somewhere else. Why not give them the convenience of printing it through you and supporting you? Like, do you
Right.
want them to go to Walmart instead of going through a professional lab where it's going to last longer, look better?
Right.
Um, and I mean, I always joke about this, but like, if they're willing to pay $10 for a cold hamburger from Grubhub or whatever Postmates, like for the convenience factor,
Right.
like they'll pay a little bit more for professional prints from the photographer that they love and had a wonderful
Right.
experience and they want to support.
Right.
So sometimes getting out of their own way a little bit.
Yeah.
and giving those clients every excuse to say no, or rather say yes. Just depends
Right.
on how you look.
Right. Cool. Hey, well, is there anything else you want to share about either, the gallery site or the studio feature? Anything else that is worth mentioning before we wrap this up?
You know what? I would say if anyone's just curious, hop on over to cloudspot.io. You can create a free account. We even have a calculator on there. So like if I made the switch, like how much would I save if I'm like invoicing this and that? Anyways, I tinker with that all the time. Average savings for folks is in the hundreds of dollars per year. So CloudSpot pays for itself multiple times over at minimum when you're leveraging everything. And when it's free to start, I say, got nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
check it out. And we're happy
Awesome.
to help.
Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to join us today and talk through these things. We're excited for what you guys are doing, and um, from time to time, give us an update for where things are at in the process. As features drop, we can share it with everybody, and get you guys some new loyal customers.
Awesome, man. Absolutely. It's just software development. How hard can it be, right? Like just crank it out. So, but no, you bet, man. Good to see you. And thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Likewise. All right. Take care.
See ya.